I think the other thing which people tend to forget, lawyers not necessarily being always very tech savvy, they think like this is the finished product. We buy a tool and it's ready. It's perfect. We all know in the technology world, there's never a thing like a ready product. It's never finished.
My name is Hidde Bruinsma and you're listening to my conversation with Hans Albers, recording during Legal Geek Europe in Amsterdam. Hans is Director of Legal Management Consulting at Deloitte Netherlands, where he helps in-house legal teams rethink their operating models, processes and use of technology, and advises general counsels and chief legal officers on the future of their function. Today we will talk about the growing gap between law firms that are far in AI adoption and those still experimenting, what a future-ready legal department actually looks like, and how in-house lawyers can move from reactive service provider to strategic business partners.
Our clients are both law firms and big corporate legal departments. Primarily, the in-house legal function is still our most important client. But we've seen through the last year and a half, through the arrival of AI, that AI adoption is a big theme within the law firms. We've seen law firms where senior associates were very, very successful with AI, but they didn't want to talk about it because the higher ups in the organization, read the partners, were not comfortable with having that conversation. We're doing some work for an insurance company right now with evaluating some risks in a large number of documents that would be cost prohibitive before. Would be too expensive to have a team of lawyers searching through 10,000 agreements, and that would take months. We now can do this in 2 weeks. Start small, start somewhere. And
how do you start small?
By identifying use cases, like a particular use case. A lot of the talk around AI is about efficiencies, time saved. But think bigger outside the box. What can you actually do to change the way you're delivering legal service?
Hans, nice that you're here. Thank you for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
How's your Legal Geek so far?
Well, a lot of familiar faces and a lot of people to catch up on, and a lot of legal tech vendors.
Yeah.
Every time I'm amazed. I mean, I think I know the landscape pretty well. But when I walk around here and I go like, okay, I only know a few.
Yeah, and I think every year it's growing.
It's growing
at the number of vendors, which is interesting, and it says something about the market we are in right now.
Yeah.
It's a market that's growing very fast. You're working at Deloitte.
Yes.
What is interesting with Deloitte, you are creating a lot of reports. You're getting a lot of data, content, information from the market, and you're writing reports, content, articles from those numbers.
Yeah.
Why?
To help us better understand what's going on within our world of our clients. And our clients are both law firms and big corporate legal departments. Primarily, the in-house legal function is still our most important client. But we've seen through the last year and a half, through the arrival of AI, that AI adoption is a big theme within the law firms. Suddenly the law firms are also coming to us for legal consulting advice because the adoption of AI is business critical for a law firm. It's not for a in-house department. I think for an in-house department, it's absolutely crucial that they have a strategy. But for law firms, it's fundamental.
So you see a difference between law firms and in-house looking at adoption?
Yes.
Maybe start with the law firms. What do you see there from an adoption side?
I think what I'm seeing from a law firm adoption side is that the big law firms in the Netherlands for sure, but also other countries, are rapidly adopting AI. It's a competitive situation as well, right? You do not want to be left behind. You do not want to be, you need to. You don't want to be the law firm that's like, AI, what's that, right? So,
are there still law firms who say AI, what's that?
Well, I think maybe not that, but certainly there are still law firms, probably the more smaller ones, where I'm hearing like, very interesting, but too expensive. Or it's difficult to implement, or we don't trust the results. Right. I think one of the interesting things that we're seeing with around adoption of AI is still this is also what we see in our surveys, still a lot of uncertainty about the quality, which often is it's fair, but it's sometimes also through wrong use of the tool. So I think that's what we also see. I think the other thing which people tend to forget, lawyers not necessarily being always very tech savvy, is that they think like this is the finished product. We buy a tool and it
should be perfect.
It's ready. It's perfect. We all know in the technology world, there's never a thing like a ready product. It's never finished. Even your iPhone, which has been around for what now, 25 years or something like that.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, but it's still evolving.
Yeah,
right?
But for lawyers, that's maybe something that is not always easy to understand.
Right.
And especially what you just said, you need to go fast and you don't want to be the last firm saying, AI, what's this?
Right.
Which has as a consequence that you also need to take a little bit of risk, maybe from the AI, from the law firm perspective, by using tools that are not finished yet.
Right.
And then the results are not perfect. And then they're like, yeah, but it's not working. So I stop with it.
Right. This is why you need to have a strategy. You need to have a plan. It's not just like, oh, let's buy the latest tool. Like everybody's buying either this or the other. So let's take one of the two. It's probably okay. Then we do a little bit of training and we start using it. And that's where people forget about the change aspects, which is where we come in. From our perspective. We can help you, figure out which tool you need, but it's more important to think about what's your strategy behind it. What do you want to achieve with it? And what's your change? You're changing the way that the lawyers work.
Can you share a bit
pretty
more?
Fundamental.
Yeah, can you share a bit more about the conversations you're then having with law firms? If you talk with them about you need a strategy.
Right.
And we are going to help you to make sure that you have that strategy. And then they're like, yeah, but we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. And how do you make sure that it lands with them?
A lot of conversations through workshops where basically we talk about what's the culture in your organization? What's the tone from the top? We've seen law firms where senior associates were very, very successful with AI, but they didn't want to talk about it because the higher ups in the organization, read the partners, were not comfortable with having that conversation. So we came in to do a workshop with this particular law firm, help them try and figure out what is your culture, what is your strategy, how do you measure success, and how do you encourage the use of the tool. Tell lawyers that it's okay if something is not quite perfect. You have to have a conversation about how do we use the tool. They have to have the human in the loop, right? The cases that were recently in the press from a particular lawyer who got, twice a slap on the wrist from the court for using
hallucinations.
I mean, I can't imagine how that happens, right? It can't happen in a big law firm. I'm pretty sure because they have guardrails that would make sure that wouldn't happen.
But let's go back one step. You're organizing these workshops.
Right.
You have these partners. They're coming in that workshop. I have the feeling that they're coming in like, I don't want to do this.
No, it's not true, actually. It's like, I was pleasantly surprised that the tone from the top was positive, but they had not realized that had not necessarily filtered down. And with strategy and with communication and vision, you have to have a vision, but one of the most important aspects of successful change management is communication, communication, and communication. You have to repeat the message over and over again. It's not a matter of like, okay, here's the tool, we do a bit of training, this is our vision, this is our strategy, good luck with it, have fun.
And they had the feeling that was enough.
Right.
And that was not enough.
And it's not enough. It has to be a repetitive process. It needs to be embedded in everything you do. We help them figure out, how do you embed it into the training program of young lawyers coming into the organization? How do you make them comfortable talking about AI, talking about what they do? Share use cases, create practice group, create enthusiasm and ambassadors, like in every organization.
What is the role of young lawyers in this whole process? Because I have the feeling that young lawyers, they're quite good with this new technology.
Right.
They're quite fast.
Right.
They use it and they're within one day, they're like, okay, I can do this and this. And the partner is like, whoa, what's happening here?
Yeah.
But we also hear sounds of, law firms, they don't hire young people anymore, or like less. But for me, I have the feeling that you really need them with this whole technological shift.
True.
So what is your view on that?
I think you need to encourage them to be almost training the rest of the organization, like training.
And take them serious also.
Traditional law firm model is more training top down, right? This is the reverse, it's training up and training the others in the organization that have more experience. So it needs to be more of a co-creation process within the law firm. I think I'm seeing some good examples of that where it's happening in a positive way. But you still run into the risk of like people, if it's once that didn't quite work, like, I spent an afternoon in the library and got a better result than Lagora. I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
And then you have a hard discussion, especially when you're a young lawyer working there for a year, and then the partner who's already working there for 30 years says, it's not working.
No.
And then you need to keep going as a young lawyer to prove, no, it is working.
It is working, but sometimes maybe people are expecting too much, too quickly. And like I said, the product is not finished. It's in constant development. It's constantly changing and getting better and delivering better results.
And do you see a growth in firms that are interested in your workshops? Say, maybe if we go back 4 years, you had a few firms.
Yeah.
And now it's getting more?
It's getting more, and it's getting to different areas of discussion. I think the next challenge that law firms have, one of the conversations we're having now is like, what does the impact of AI mean for our back office? Not the fee earners, right? But the back office, where you have professional support lawyers who may be under threat, right? Because managing knowledge within an environment that is managed by AI is a lot different model than it used to be. I think the other thing which we're seeing is law firms reaching out to us to help them figure out their future business model.
Yeah, because that's also changing. You hear sounds about the hourly billing model that's going to change, and we need to go to value billing, or we need other kinds of billing, which is a big discussion and also a big change.
Right.
And of course, AI itself is already a big change. It's a big change in culture. It's a big change in how you work. A lot of change for these law firms and for these lawyers.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
There's a lot happening, and they are fearing that some of the work will go away because clients will be using AI to do a lot of the work themselves. And we're seeing that as well, that's at risk, but also the billable hours are under threat.
And if we then go back to the in-house, because we talked about lawyers.
Yeah.
In-house is a different story. They have maybe a different reason to use AI.
Yeah.
They have maybe a billingly outer model, but it's not the same as with law firms. It's a different kind of model.
Right.
What kind of questions you get from in-house lawyers?
It's a different conversation about, do I really need the AI tool, or can I do a lot of the same with Copilot or Claude or Gemini? So it's a different conversation.
And different kind of workshops.
Different kind of workshops and, different investment discussions. For them, it's a higher burden to do a huge investment in a dedicated AI tool.
And where do you see a faster pace of adapting AI? Is it with lawyers or is it with in-house lawyers?
I think with law firms at the moment, that's a faster pace.
And because they're also looking at other law firms.
Yeah, it's more competitive. Like if you're in an in-house function, you don't really care whether your neighbor uses AI or not. I mean, not your problem.
And within Deloitte, how did AI change your own work?
It's changing, well, not for me so much. I mean, other than now I'm able to do reports myself without having to use a junior trainee or an intern. So that's helpful. But no, I think, we're seeing right now that it's helping us deliver services that we before would not be able to do effectively at a cost price the client could afford. So if we need to do, we're doing some work for an insurance company right now with evaluating some risks in a large number of documents that would be cost prohibitive before. Would be too expensive to have a team of lawyers searching through 10,000 agreements, and that would take months. We now can do this in 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
or less.
And maybe in 1 year you do it in 1 week.
Yeah.
Or in a few days.
Yeah.
So it also created...
For a fixed fee, which is affordable.
So it created a lot of new products and services also for your own business.
Yeah. At the same time, it's a risk as well, right? Because you might be able, like, take for instance due diligence, where if you would do an old-fashioned due diligence with a lot of people, a lot of hours, be nice revenue. Right now, clients are not willing to pay that anymore, so you have to use AI to do a due diligence report in a much lower price point.
And you talk a lot with law firms, you talk a lot with in-house lawyers. What are the things you hear from them that are their biggest pain points right now regarding AI, regarding legal AI?
I think still it's the quality, the data security. That's a big topic for both law firms as in-house. Have to go through very rigorous process to get the tools evaluated, checked out. Everybody's worried about data.
And we also see law firms who say we're going to build our own tool.
Right.
We don't buy a tool from a vendor,
right,
but we are going to build our own tool from scratch.
And it's also happening at in-house functions. If you're working for a company that has a savvy tech company that has a good IT department and access to a lot of skills and resources, then yeah, why not? I think, you have to figure out, though, whether it's sustainable.
When is it sustainable?
If you have that quality of resources internally available to not only build the tool, develop the tool, and maintain the tool.
And especially the last thing. I mean, you can build a tool and then you have a first version and you're like, all right.
Yeah, I've seen situations in my previous life when I was in-house counsel where we had built a tool and 10 years later, it breaks down and somebody says, well, how do we fix this? Well, the guy who built it left 5 years ago, so we have no idea, right? So that's the risk. But we also see having conversations with clients who want to build their own legal tech solutions for their own organization by using the whole Microsoft suite of products. I think it's doable, but it's not free. I mean, the idea is often like, well, we have Office 365 and we have Copilot. That's all free. Why would I spend money on a tool like Legora or Harvey? It's all too expensive. Let me build my own thing.
Well, maybe you don't spend money, but you spend a lot of time then.
Well, exactly. Or you need consultants. Fine with me. But, you need consultants.
They're not free.
But they're not free. And it's going to be still very expensive. And you still have the concern, like, is it going to be like a standalone tool? Nobody's going to continue developing it, let alone maintain it and take it to the next level. So you build something, but you risk that it's very static. It might work for the next 5 years, fine, no problem. But if you're using a tool that you buy off the market, then that will be continually improved and evaluated and developed. I think to me, that's the route that I would personally choose. I'm not a great fan of building it yourself, although I have to say with the developments in the world of cloud and all that, I can see the temptation.
It's going
for
fast.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's finish with a message to the firms. You just said they're not asking the question, what is AI? But they're still very in the beginning of the whole process of finding out how can AI really help us? You mentioned a few things where it can go wrong. For example, getting wrong answers twice or 3 times, and then you're like, okay, it's not working.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to those firms?
Start small. Start somewhere. And
how do you start small?
By identifying use cases, like a particular use case. If you don't want to go all in right from the get-go, which I can completely understand, start with particular use cases. Like, I have this problem here or there, and I want to solve this. Like, for instance, we sometimes talk to clients who have a massive problem with a lot of claims that come in from the outside, marketing claims about products and stuff. Could be tens of thousands that come in every month, and they all need to be channeled somehow. AI can help you filter through those claims, put them in buckets so they can be reviewed by the right people.
And that's a big time saver.
The high risk claims go directly to legal, the low risk maybe get to marketing or whatever. So start with small use cases that make sense, but also make an immediate impact on the business.
Is that also going to be the central point of your talk later today at Legal Geek? Start small?
Start small, yeah, but that's a slightly different conversation. And it's a more fundamental conversation around the impact. I think that's what I would like to see, and that's definitely what I'm going to bring up in the conversation at the panel this afternoon, is that a lot of the talk around AI is about efficiencies, time saved. But think bigger outside the box. What can you actually do to change the way you're delivering legal services, whether you're a law firm or in-house lawyer? But how do you deliver legal service in a different way, or enable the business with a lot more self-service? Not talking about agents, but could be agents, right? Could be part of that process. But I think sometimes, I think some legal departments could be a bit bolder in their goals and ambitions.
Thank you, and good luck with your talk, and it was an honor to have you.
We'll see, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.